How's it going, everyone? Jiivita here with another episode of the Quick Start series. This time we're going to cover how to make warp augments, storage blocks, and even atlases. This is going to require us to craft glass, glue, among other things. So yeah, let's get started. The last episode we went over creating a new character and traveling to our little campsite right here. So if that's something that interests you, be sure to check that video out. Before we get started, we're just going to have to go ahead and address this right here. Apparently, I guess somebody found my little campsite, maybe saw the video and figured out that, yeah, this was my campsite. So we got the hi right here, and actually my name kind of like, I don't know, spelled out in grass/chisel, so the double I's right there. But this does kind of point out a very good thing, that when you're building, yeah, you have to make sure that you're actually building within your plots, because this top part of the high right here is not actually beaconed, and it's partially regenerated, which is why yeah, there's a torch just kind of floating in midair. So you can either build with beacon view on, or if you pay close attention to the hologram, if you're inside of your beacon, it'll have a green hologram like this. If you're outside of your beacon, it'll be that kind of pale orange hologram. So anytime you see orange, just know that it's not protected. If it's actually red like that, that's because you actually cannot place the block. In this case, I'm standing in the space that the block needs to be. So yeah, so I'll probably go ahead and maybe steal all these torches, because, well, it's not really stealing, they're just going to disappear. So anyway, let's get down to business. Last episode, or maybe actually two back, we actually went ahead and crafted an extractor. It's the same exact recipe as crafting a workbench, so as soon as you can craft a workbench, there's little reason to wait to craft an extractor. So again, you can put this on our action bar and plop it down. You can place machines side by side as long as they are different machines. So we can go ahead and just place that one like that. So as you can see, there's a surprising number of fresh vital essence recipes, and that is because there's essentially one for every animal product. So you can take any animal product that you have in excess and use for this purpose. Fresh vital essence is used for several different things, namely for warp augments, which will allow you to travel to other planets. If you scroll down, you can also turn your fossils into ancient vital essence, as well as your fibrous leaves into sackcloth, if you just wanted something extra to craft for experience. Naturally, you would probably want to save that for your dedicated crafter, but you could also craft it on this character if you want this character to get the experience. So at this point, we have a number of different directions we could potentially go. If you wanted to stay on this planet long term, you can certainly start to build a base or a home. However, just keep in mind that this planet has fairly limited resources. It does have iron, but it's quite rare, so you might consider also leaving the planet altogether and traveling to a more advanced planet. However, that also comes with more advanced dangers. While crafting tables do work fine as an early game storage device, there actually are storage blocks and storage shelves. The nice thing about these is that they visibly show the items that are inside of them, so you can very easily find the stuff you're actually looking for. They are a very similar recipe. The storage block uses any stones, whereas the storage shelves use any timber. But as you can see, it does require this new resource that we previously have no knowledge of. So this requires glue. Since we have no clue how to craft glue, we can go ahead and open up the knowledge tree. So press on the right side of the touchpad on controllers, or hit tab to open the character menu and come down to knowledge. And let's kind of scroll through here and look for glue. It's probably going to be under components, or here we go, resources. Scroll down. Here we go. So under the resource filters in the component section, here is glue. You can see that it's made with sap and bone, and okay, yes, it's crafted in the furnace. So that's the invaluable thing about the knowledge tree, as it gives you all the information for the recipes without having to look at each individual crafting machine. And certainly the furnace does not have a list of recipes, so really there's no way you could have known how to make glue without it. So there we go, we put some bone and sap in there, and now we can start the furnace to make glue. Very nice. It's good to note that these storage blocks will combine with each other to create a larger storage area, so it's good to craft these in large quantities. You can see that now at a single glance I can tell, oh, there's my copper, there's my earth yams. I could either interact directly with this block to get to my copper, or I could interact in the middle to access everything. So that is very nice and helps dramatically with organization and quickly finding resources. While that's cooking, we can come over here to the extractor and let's go ahead and craft some fresh vital essence. This viscous blood works really well, but really you can use anything that you have extra of. And the reason why I want to make fresh vital essence is so we can come over here and eventually make a warp augment. This will allow us to travel to another planet and find better resources. Another thing we can craft is an atlas over here, which does require glass. We can use the knowledge tree again to figure out how to make glass, but it's made by putting both silty soil and sand in the furnace. So we can go find some of that here in a little bit. So here's some sand over here. Each planet is likely to have a completely different color of sand, so you'll just kind of have to experiment and see what the sand looks like on your planet. You can find sand just about anywhere, especially underground and in the caves. Occasionally you can find basically little deserts or savannas on the homeworlds, and then the higher level planets will also have deserts as well. Over here we have, let's see here, yes, this is silty soil. So there are 3 types of soil types, just like there's 3 types of rock and wood. So you do need the right type of soil. There's also peaty soil, which can be used as a fuel. And then there's also clay that's used for making brick. Okay, once you find some sand and silty soil, and if your glue is still cooking, you might consider crafting some more furnaces so you can start making some glass. So let's go ahead and put the sand and soil down there. Let's pop in some fuel. If you're not able to get very much coals, you know, these basic torches are pretty wimpy and can be a little claustrophobic going into the caves. You can use wood as a fuel. It's just not nearly as efficient. So let's go ahead and pop that in there and get that glass cooking. Come over here, you can see that our atlas and warp augments are completed. Let's pull out this atlas and give it a whirl. So place it on your action bar like any other tool, and now when you action it, it will tie this atlas to this planet. So if we wanted to use an atlas on another planet, we would have to craft a brand new one. So it's good to note that this is a permanent process. But give it a moment and we can see that this character knows absolutely nothing about this planet. So we can put it in our storage shelves over here and let our other character take a look at it and see if he knows any more about this planet. Okay, let's see if he knows anything. Ah, there we go. So that unlocked that region over there because he has discovered it. Certainly we could start running off into this essentially fog of war over here. And eventually above the compass it'll say, well, currently it says northeast of a region. And when that turns to question marks, there we go, northwest of question marks. So in order to get to this region, we would have to do the opposite. So we need to go, yes, exactly, southeast, the region. There we go, we hit the region already. So that was pretty fast. So yeah, as you can see, you can kind of tell, oh, over here is going to be this burnt up ash area. But then on the other side, there's some more forest. So quite nice. And if we wanted to use this to help us find something, all we have to do is drag whatever we're looking for and place it on top of the atlas. It does have to be some kind of resource like copper ore, ancient tech fragments, but you can even put in surface resources such as fibrous leaves and earth yams. But now when we look at it, you see the dark areas, like the gray dark areas to the sides, that is the fog of warp, but that's pretty much the color of areas that do not have this resource. So areas that are blue have low density, green is slightly more, yellow even more, and then finally white is the highest density. So as we can see, we can find copper ore just about everywhere, particularly off to the east seems to be a particularly nice spot. A good thing to note though about ores is when it's particularly hot like that, that's usually because it's solid rock. So these much more mottled areas, kind of like around in here, that is basically going to be caves most likely. So just a little good thing to note about ores. If you want to remove the resources to have your atlas look normal, on PC you can use X, on PS4 you can use R3 to eject the material. So I put in something a little bit rare like tech components, and yeah, that's actually, I mean, it's a lower density, but they are pretty well distributed. Let's put in something even rare. How about some fibrous leaves? And there we go. Now we just have speckles of blue spots. A good thing to note about the atlas is that in order for it to show up on the atlas, you do need at least like 2 or 3 of a resource to be in somewhat close proximity. So like these single surface resources off by themselves, they're really not going to show up. But when you have a spot that has 2 or 3 together, then it will finally show up on the atlas. So just because it looks cold for a resource doesn't necessarily mean that there's nothing there. Okay, so here we go. We got to one of the little hot spots. You can see there's one right there. Looks like there's 2 to 3 over there. We have 2 right next to each other. So yeah, it's good to note that this heat map, it only updates once every 24 hours. So just because there is a hotspot does not necessarily mean they're going to be there, as another player could have already gathered them. Okay, well I think that covers this episode quite nicely. We covered how to make glue and glass, storage shelves, warp augments, and even atlases. So pretty eventful episode. Amusingly, it seems like every time I take a look at this high sign over here, there's another block missing. I haven't actually removed any of the blocks, so it looks like world regeneration has been tweaked to be a little bit more aggressive, which is actually pretty nice, considering that means the resources should come back faster as well. But anyway, this was Jiivita. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more like this, and if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel, want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace.